any seed forever, right? The promised land, promised by God, not by the UN. So don't just sit at home, but travel. See what I gave you. Go, travel the length and breadth of the country and see it and get to know it. Like when somebody who cares about you very much gives you a gift, he's expecting you to look into the gift, see what he gave you, not just think it's any old country or any old land. So this is what we're doing. We are looking into the little details of where we are. And we are heading towards Daliat El Carmel. So Daliat El Carmel and another town called Usafia, they are situated on the Carmel, and they are mainly the local population in those settlements, those towns, is mainly Druze. Druze, D-R-U-Z. So the Druze are an ethnic group that lives here in Israel and lived here for many, many years. They emerged out of Islam in the 11th century, but they are not Muslims. They have their own culture and religion, and they go back to the prophet Yitro. Thank you. Okay, we have no time to waste on. Yeah, but did you see how it happened? He was like walking and then. Yeah. So, how do you pronounce Jethro?
Jethro.
So in Hebrew, all the J's turn into Y. So Binyamin is Benjamin. Yeshua is Jesus, right? So Yitro. So they refer to Yitro as their ancestral father, and therefore they have a strong alliance with us, with the Jews here. They go to the army. They are citizens just like myself, and so they have different towns on the Carmel, in the Golan Heights here. The yummiest Druze pita, see? Selling something like a pita bread, but very, very thin, like paper thin. And they have their little hospitality businesses right next to the road. So they have their own towns in the Golan Heights, which is northeast. The Golan Heights is a territory that used to be Syrian before 1967, but now an integral part of Israel, right on the Sea of Galilee, So they have their towns there, and they have their towns in Syria itself. Now, because they are loyal to the land and to the government and to the people in the land, there is this situation where the Druze in Syria are serving in the Syrian army, and they are loyal to Syria. And the Druze in Israel are loyal to Israel and to the Israeli government. So that never presented an issue, but in principle, there is a possibility of them having to fight each other because of this idea that they must be loyal to where they live. And olive trees on the right-hand side, left-hand side, you can see them from a distance. They have this silverish, shiny color. Another Druze refreshment stop. So the Druze basically believe in reincarnation. They are within the Druze society. There are the religious ones and the secular ones. So the seculars have no idea what their religion is about. It's very secretive, and the religious people will not share, of course, because it's a secret. So basically what we know is that they believe in reincarnation and that they believe in one God, of course, and the rest is just speculations because nobody really knows for sure. In Israel, tens of thousands, very small number. So we are on the Carmel now. We call the Carmel the Evergreen Mountain.
The Evergreen Mountain.
And maybe later on we'll play a song of the Carmel, a very nice song called the Evergreen Mountain. So we are now in the area that used to be a part of the Kingdom of Israel. We're going back to the biblical times, right? This is the northern kingdom. So the southern kingdom was the kingdom of Judah, or the kingdom of Judea, that later turned into the province of Judea. When the Romans were here, it was given a same name. The northern kingdom, however, comprised 10 tribes, and these are the 10 lost tribes, because the end of those tribes was that they fell into the hands of the Assyrians, right? The Assyrians put a siege, and they took them as they actually expelled them. So here's in brackets, right, the story of the Samaritans. So what the Assyrians did was they brought a different population. This is the Jewish narrative, okay? I'm later going to tell you the Samaritan narrative. So they brought a population from somewhere else and placed them here. This population is known as the Samaritans, right? Because they live in the area of Samaria. So they were named Samaritans. However, if you were to ask the Samaritans, by the way, there are only maybe 2,000 Samaritans left in the world. Some of them live in a nearby city to Tel Aviv. Others live in Nablus. The ones who live in Tel Aviv are Israeli citizens, Samaritans, Israeli citizens, and they serve in the army. The ones in Nablus are Palestinian Samaritans, right? They speak Arabic, but they both get together to celebrate the ancient Jewish holidays. They call them Samaritan holidays. They have a very old version of the Bible in ancient Hebrew, but their narrative is that they are the ones who remained from the big expulsion of the Assyrians, meaning they are the ones who are left of the 10 lost tribes. That's their narrative. So that's interesting. So now that we are in the Kingdom of Israel, the former Kingdom of Israel, of the Israelites, the 10 lost tribes, you know, we are pretty close to the border from the north. So Lebanon or Sidon. Okay, Sidon today is a city in Lebanon, the Kingdom of Sidon, where Jezebel came from. So Jezebel and Ahab were a couple, were a mixed couple. He was the king of the Israel kingdom in the north, and she was from the north. She wasn't Jewish, so she brought in some influences that were not very good. She started the worship of the Baal in the north, and she dragged her husband along with her. So, oh, by the way, look at the flags with the 5 colors. This is the Druze flag. So 5 different colors, they represent different things. And they have like a flag within, even though their loyalty is not questionable. So the story that, the event that took place, the most famous event that took place on Mount Carmel, is the story of the prophet Elijah. When what he was trying to do was get the people, the Israelites, right, not to be swayed after what their king was doing and his queen, of course, but get them back into the worship, the right worship of the God of Israel, right? So how do you do that? Imagine like there's a very strong current pulling in one direction, and now you're trying to get the people to swim a different way. That's a very difficult task. So this is in if we're talking about the physiology of swimming. Now think about spiritual influences, right? How do you prevent that? How do you get people to realize they are not on the right track? They should be going a different direction, not just a different direction, opposite direction. Because when people go a certain direction, there's a momentum. Sometimes people are walking, if you grab one of them and tell them, where are you going? They say, I don't know, I'm just following them, right? So he needed to perform a miracle, even though I don't really like the word miracle, but I don't know why. But like a manifestation of the power of God would be a better terminology, for everybody to see and do something which is super dramatic and powerful to impact the people and get them to realize that they're on the wrong track and go a different direction. So when we reach a certain point, we're going to read from the scriptures how it happened, exactly what happened. But let's say at the end of what had happened, the people realized that they were worshiping a false god, like many a times people did before, and like people did after, like people are still doing today, relying on something which is useless and will not help them when they need the help. So on the Carmel Mountain there is a Carmelite order. They have different churches. One of them is called Mohraka, which is where we are going. And we are going to go and sit at the viewpoint and see, on the one hand, the ridge of the Carmel, and from the other side we're going to see Mount Gilboa, and over there we are going to hear the story of King Saul and his sons, the last battle with the Philistines. The Philistines, who were superior to the Israelites with their let's say army and their technology for manufacturing weapons. Usually the battle would take place in the valleys between the coastline and the Judean hills, which is where we came from, basically. So the Philistines were in the coastlines, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and Gat. And the Israelites, because they feared them so much, remained on the mountains because the iron chariots couldn't reach the mountains. So whenever there was a battle, it was always in the valleys between the mountains and the coastline. However, during the time of King Saul, the Philistines managed to conquer more and more and more cities on the coastline and reached all the way parallel to the Carmel, which is the area of the Gilboa. And this is where the last battle of King Saul and his sons took place.
Jonathan. Away sila. Ganito. sa ilalim ng puno na yan.
Sarap kumain din ng tanim.
Ha?
Lunch.
Diyan mag-lunch.
Kumain na.
Maglatag tayo. Sana
Latag
naman tayo.
tayo.
Sana naman tayo maglalatag eh.
Ikaw ata tayo maglalunch.
Dito.
Sorry na po.
Ilalim ng puno.
Masarap.
Sanay naman kami sa latagan. Wala akong dalang panlatag ko.
Oo.
Tsaka yung kuwan ko.
Meron dyan mga ano. Python.
Ano kaya itong maliliit na dahon na to?
Python dyan eh, mga ahas.
Ayan, malunggay.
Malunggay.
Katabi natin yung mga python dyan.
Bakit tayo maglalunch? Dito.
Katabi natin. Malay-malay mo, nasa tabi mo na yung ahas. Nagkikikain na. Alam naman mo na may tumutunog na. Yun pala, ano na pala ahas na.
Mapupuntahan kita. Purple flowers. Mamaya hawak ka na ng dahon.
Sa labas po ata.
Alam niyo pa nakakita ako ng insect sa desert. Kulay orange. Binidyo ko siya.
Tapos,
Ano nangyari?
Hindi, seconds lang. Tapos meron nang nasa insect sa disyerto. Gaganda
Ayun
ng
o, may
kulay.
insect o. Ayun o.
Hindi yan.
Nasa bus.
Black siya, black. Maganda yung sa akin, kulay orange siya.
narinig na kasi.
May nakakita kasi.
Mga puno nila, parang sa sukat lang ano.
Bakit walang number ang puno nila dito, no?
Kaya mo suggest natin. Puno.
Sa Hong Kong, puro number. Parang pre-take tong mga to eh.
Ano?
Tignan mo yung
Pre-take.
puno ka.
Kung makukuha.
Hindi siya. Ayan,
And we
ito.
have arrived.
Ayan yung mga baso.
Yes.
Ah, dito nga talaga kakain tayo. Dito na tayo sa loob ng bus. Ah, dito tayo kakain. Maaga pa naman ah. Dito tayo. Anong gagawin nila? Anong gagawin niyo?
Papasok sa loob. Ayun, no?